Hello and welcome to Joseph Data Science for Curious People. My name's Dave. In this video, I'm going to be looking at how to query or how to filter a SQL database. So I'm going to be working with SQL, and it is a relational database. It's a SQL database, and I'm going to be using SQL, which is the language that you use to extract information. Well, one of its purposes is to extract information from a database. So this over here is my database, and it's a table. So a SQL relational database is made up of tables, which are comprised of rows and columns. So the select statement, this is a very important one, and you type it first. It starts off by selecting, and then you're going to select a column. So we can use, as you see over here, it says ID is the one column there, so we can go ID. And then we want to tell, we would like to indicate which table it is, so it's called demo. So this simple line is going to exclude these two columns and only have ID. So when I click run, you can see select ID from demo, select ID. There we go, from demo. Okay, so then I click run, and you can see it's kicked out these two columns, and we only have this one. If we would like to have all columns and all rows, sorry, not all rows but all columns, we go, this little star means all, so that's all. What we might also want to do is we might want to find the maximum value. We can see these are integers, these are numbers, these are letters, so we might want the maximum ID, and from demo we want, and the maximum is 21. We might also want to count, so we can count, and we see that it is 21. We might want the average, so what's the average ID? And we see it's 11, and minimum, so these are a few, and there are others that you can also use, other functions, and we see it's 1. Another cool thing we can actually do, we can create a new column by going as minimum. So select the minimum ID as minimum, and here we have it here, it's called minimum. See, I can change this, and then you see, here we go here. So we actually create a new column. So we can actually do is we can say select average ID as average. Select average ID as average, and then we want the name from demo. So now what it's going to do, now we've got two columns because we've got a little comma there. We don't have a comma here, but we have a comma there. Select average ID as average, so that's our new column name, because you see we could actually just go ID, and now you see we got ID, we got average ID, we got average ID, and then we got name, so there are three. Alright, let's move on. Let's look at the where statement. So we can go select all from demo where ID equals 3. So now we're only going to get the third one, and we see Twitter, and here is the hint. So that's the where. The where is a filtering thing. We can also go where ID is bigger than 3. So what this is going to do is going to see it starts at 4. We can go bigger than equal to, and now we've got 3. 15. And then you go 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Or 15, so it's 16. So this where will then filter it even further. So the where is another powerful one. So select all columns from demo where ID is bigger than 15. So these are all the ones with IDs bigger than 15. We can also use the between letter, which is quite cool, where ID between 10 and 15. So what this one then does is now we can sort of find a range. So where ID is between 10 and 15. Okay, so that's the where. Let's now move on to another one, which is also part of the where, which is cool, which is LIKE. And what we're allowed to do here is we can essentially like search for strings by using the % sign. So if I go, let me show you what I mean. So I go select all from demo where the text will have text before SQL and after. So when I go run, you can see where name. Okay, so what I've done is I've told it where name, so the name column, so select all columns from demo where name, but let's say I only want hint, so I only want hint, and then this is where the name column, but let's just add a name so you can see, so here's the name column, so we're selecting the hint column, the name column from demo, where name, so where this column here, the values have SQL in it, and where there's letters on the left and the right, you can see there's SQL online, and you see it's got SQL and SQL, so there we've got, and then here obviously there's nothing. So this % sign, if I delete that one, it will stay the same because we see that there's only starts with a SQL online. But if I put this % sign here, you'll see the difference. Now there's only here because the other ones had text afterwards. So this little % sign basically means like any other characters. So what we've just worked out here is that, let's do ID. So numbers 1, 6, 10, and 16. These ones are all have SQL in their name value. They all have SQL in their name value. And then what we could also do is we could also count, select count, ID as count. So now we know 4. So there's 4 of them. So what we've just done here is we know that there are 4 values. We know that there are 4 values that have SQL in their name value. Okay, and then let's look at the order by. That's something else I want to look at. So select all from demo. And then what you can do, you can use this one called order by. And order by it filters. So order by name. So what it's going to do, you can see C, D, E, F, G, and then S, S, U. Okay, so what it's basically done is it's basically ordered it. It's ordered it alphabetically. But what we could do, we could go descending, and now it's going to turn it around. So now we've got this little guy at the top, and then T's, S's, and down to C. So that's ordering it by that. We could also order it by hint, and here again, it's ordering this. It's ordering our table based on hint. And as you can see, the ID is no longer 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But what we could do, we could go order by ID, descending, and now we go 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, and so on. So that's order by. And then you can actually add in a where. So let's select all from demo where name. Name, I like that one that we were working with just now, like percentage SQL percentage order by. Okay, so now what we've done is that we are selecting all of the rows, or well, all columns, but then all the rows where the name has SQL in it, which we have here, and then we're ordering it by the ID. So we're starting with 16, 15, down to 1. But if we wanted to make this ascending, then it would turn them around, and it goes 1 through to 16. Okay, I want to look at one last one, and that's the group by. So the group is pretty cool. What group basically does, group by ID. What group basically does is it basically groups them. So let's group by name. It sort of aggregates them into different groups, but we see in this case it's not going to be able to so the group by is only really possible is if you can categorize your data, and then it groups it into different groups. Okay, this video is done. This is just a sort of a brief overview of how to query a database. And remember, we were looking at the select, we were looking at the order by, we were looking at the where statement, and then basic selecting columns from demo. So here we are selecting columns. Okay, thank you very much. I hope you have a fantastic day.